All right, students, so here we are again, and now we are looking at the second part of our review lesson, or review unit, I should say. So rates. So rates compare. So it goes right along with our lesson on ratios. Rates compare quantities. Okay, I'm trying to make this pen work, and it's not being very happy. And remember, the big thing was yesterday that we talked about different units. So anytime we have a rate, it's going to be this much for that. How many of one thing for a certain quantity of another thing. Okay, so if we went to buy apples, we might be able to buy, come on, pen, 3 pounds for $2. That's a rate. The quantity here is pounds, and the quantity here is for money. Generally speaking, when you see a rate involving money, just as a general rule, I should not have written it that way. We normally do cost over quantity. Okay, when we do cost over quantity, that can always easily be divided to find us a unit rate. So a unit rate, here we go. There, unit rates. Speak of the devil. A unit rate is a rate with a denominator. I know you remember this from 7th grade. My pen is not being very nice today. Of 1. How much for one of something? No matter what it is, if you're talking about a unit rate, you're talking about how much, how far, whatever, for one unit of measure, whatever it is that you're measuring. To change a rate into a unit rate, we are going to divide the numerator by denominator. Okay, so this always becomes a little bit confusing. So let's talk about what exactly that means when we're talking about the numbers. That means if you do your division problem, the numerator is in the box, denominator is outside. Always. That never, ever changes. Okay, so express each rate as a unit rate, round to the nearest tenth. Tenth, as you recall, is the first place after the decimal, to the right of the decimal. This is the ones place. As soon as we go smaller than 1, the first place is the 10th place. All right. All right. So right rates using the symbol. I have to come back to that because I don't know what symbol they're looking for. We use, sometimes you can use a slash, okay? And sometimes you see that a lot in the grocery store. That looks like a fraction bar. It's not. Mathematicians do not consider this a fraction bar. Sometimes we say per for a rate, which means for every or for each. Okay, there we go. All right, so 364 miles in 7 hours. You'll be happy to know that you can use your calculator for this little section, because this is, oh my goodness, it's thunder. This is not a lesson on division. This is lesson on rates. So when we do that, we would put into your calculator this, 364 divided by 7. If you were going to write out the problem, remember, numerator goes in the box. This isn't written as a ratio, so that would look like this, 364 over 7. So 364 would go inside here, 7 would go outside. That's how we set up the problem for the standard algorithm for division. But like I said, you can use your calculator, and that's going to give us, that equals 52. So we would say 52, there's a couple ways you can do it, miles per hour. You see it on a speed limit sign as 52 miles per hour. That's a rate, okay? 52 miles for each hour, okay, for everyone. All right, so the next one, 210 words in 6 minutes. So on your calculator, you would put it in like this. 210 divided by 6, and that's going to equal 35. So that's going to be 35 words per minute. Or, now look, if it were written like a ratio, it would look like this. Okay, there we go. Or you could do the P right here, like I did before. My goodness, it's a bad storm. All right, let's look at the next one. So we have 5 inches of rain in 3 days. Okay, now listen, we talked about the other day. This is what they put first, okay? So that would be 5 inches in 3 days. So in our calculator, we would do 5 divided by 3, and you would get 1.666, etc. That's a repeating decimal. So now let's recall what our instructions said to do. Round to the nearest 10th. So the 10th place is here. So remember, we look next door, 5 or more. I know you learned that rhyme in elementary school, raise that score. So we're going to have, that's going to equal 1.7. That 6 becomes a 7. Do not put anything afterwards because it said round to the 10th. That means you don't have any number, not even a 0, in the next place value. So our answer then would be 1.7 inches per day. Notice how we're giving our units. It's really important. If you don't say your units, then no one knows what you're talking about. All right, so number 7, 30 math problems in 52 minutes. So that looks like if it's a ratio, 30, because that's what they listed first. That's what's going to come first, if I can write it correctly. 30 problems in 52 minutes. So we're going to divide that in our calculator. It's going to be 30 divided by 52 equals them. All right, and we get 0.5769, etc. Okay, it keeps going. But what did our instructions say to do? If you recall, round to the nearest 10th. I don't need all of those decimals back there. All I need to know, because here is the 10th spot, I only need to know about this one, and that one is more than 5, so it's going to equal 0.6. It's not a very good 6. There we go. And so our answer then would be 0.6 problems per minute. All right, make sure you have all that written down because I want to scroll down a little bit, but I'm going to have to erase this page to do it. So pause the video if you need to. Make sure you have everything written down. And I'm clearing 3, 2, 1. Clear. There. Oh my goodness. Okay, so I'm going to scroll up. All right, we'll just look at problem number 9. Okay. So still annotating. Let me draw. There we go. The table below shows the number of teachers and the number of students at each of the 4 middle schools. Which school has the most students per teacher? That means if we're comparing, we're going to have students per teacher. Okay, even though in the chart it has teachers first and students second, we must look here, students per teacher. So it's going to be a real easy thing to divide students divided by teacher, because that's how our ratio is set up. If you look over here, students divided by teachers. So we'll do 840 divided by 34, and that gives us 24.7. And I'm going to put 71 just to make sure. All right, so the next one then, we're going to do 675 divided by 40. And we have 16.88. And then on the next one, we're going to do 604 divided by 31. And we have 19.48. And then we're going to do 578 divided by 28. And we have 20.64. Okay, so this would be like an average, but once you have found the unit rate for each one of these schools, well, then it's a very easy question to answer. Which school has the most, which is more students per teacher? And clearly then, we're looking right here because they have 24 students for every teacher. When it says per, remember, that is for every, for each, however you want to say it. All right, that's the end of our little video for this lesson in our review unit. So I hope you have a lovely day. And until next time, see you later, alligator.